Hello dear tea friends from around the world, welcome to a new tea class with me, Stéphane Herler. Today we are doing another tea class about health and good tea. I'm the founder of the Tea Masters blog and also of the tea-masters.com tea boutique. As I just mentioned, you will find lots of great teas there, and right now with lots of interesting prices because we are just before the new spring season. It's an exciting time, and we're also 2 weeks away from Easter. It's time for fasting and also a time to be careful about what we eat. We try to eat less and to be more conscious about what we eat. So it's, I think, also a good time to do this class again. I'm doing it once a month. And today I wanted to come back to the approach that we are taking when I explain how to use tea to lead a healthier life. I'm using a more Chinese approach, similar to traditional Chinese medicine. You may know that in the past, families employed also doctors in China, but the way they worked was very different. They were paid when everybody was in good health, and when somebody was sick, that's when they were stopped being paid. So they really had a good incentive to keep everybody healthy. So this is also a bit what we are trying to do with this approach. It's not waiting for problems to happen to solve them. This is what Western medicine is doing. We are more trying to make sure that the whole system, the whole body works well and does not fall ill. Of course, the two approaches right now should be complementary. In Taiwan, where I live, there are people go to see Chinese doctors and also Western doctors, so they don't see any antagonism between these two methods. They follow the same goal of being healthy, but one is more about curing, the other one is more about preventing diseases. So, but these two methods, they of course have their specifics and their cons and pros. In the West, we have a bit a difficulty sometimes to think of two different methods as being complementary because we were raised with a monotheistic religion, most of us. So you had to believe in just one God. In China, there are three doctrines. People believe in Taoism, Confucianism, and Buddhism, and many people believe a bit more or less in one or two or three of them. But these doctrines are not exclusive. They are also can be complementary. So the Chinese mind is more open to having different methods working at the same time. This is something where people I have seen before have taken a path. Either it's the Western medicine or it's the Chinese medicine. It cannot, both cannot work at the same time. So either I follow one path or I follow the other. Of course, I believe that if you're really sick, you should see a doctor that does Western medicine and tries to cure your symptoms, especially if they are very important and if you feel really very sick. But in the long term, of course, the best course of action is to lead a life that will keep you healthy, avoid excesses. Well, this we already know with Stoicism, that excesses are bad for us and we should take the middle road. Also, Hippocrates says first one of the first principles of doctors, Western doctors from the Greek, is do no harm. So also this also applies to us. When you are eating or drinking, do no harm. So try to eat and drink food that is not going to harm you. I think one of the leading cause of death right now is still the smoking. Cigarettes are very dangerous. So if you apply the do no harm on yourself, you should not smoke. And I've explained I think it was in the first lesson, that tea also gives you a great incentive not to smoke, because smoking will make your taste buds more numb. You feel less, so you have less pleasure in drinking tea. Tea being something very fine, very delicate. Let me take a sip of this ginseng. Still very fresh, going thirst quenching and natural, and a natural softness. And another very bad food is, of course, sugar, fructose, because it leads to high blood pressure, to diabetes, etc. And in this regard, tea helps us to enjoy a soft taste, and because we don't add any sugar, we are able to get used to what is a beverage that is naturally soft but unsweetened. Because if you take the bad habit of drinking and eating very sweet foods or beverages, this will make your body take too many calories in, and this will be then harmful in the long term. Maybe not in the short term, but as I said, if we take this holistic approach of wanting a healthy life, we have to look in the long term, and so tea helps develop a taste for natural food, and food that is not artificially flavored and not overly spiced or overly sweetened, because and this is what is helping us to be more healthy thanks to tea. With any tea also, we learn that we have always two choices. Either we can drink it or not drink it. We can eat it or not eat it. So here, remember, you are responsible for your life. Of course, if a doctor prescribes you medicine, you are responsible to take it. But with food, it becomes we are responsible. Nobody will tell us what to eat, what to drink. Here we have to learn by ourselves what is good for us. So, and there are no prescriptions to tell us, oh, this food is bad, you should not eat it. What we know is that it's always a matter of concentration. If you take too much of something, this is when problems happen. If you eat in little quantity something, even if it's a bit bad, it's not that big of a problem. And so if you really cannot do without a certain food that is not so good, for instance, something that I cannot do without, or very difficult is chocolate. So here I'm thinking of another principle, the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns tells us that it is the first unit that brings the most pleasure. Like when you are thirsty, it's the first gulp of water that quenches your thirst the most, and the second quenches it a bit less, less and less and less, until your thirst is completely quenched at the end, and then one more drop of water, you won't feel any pleasure. Actually, you will start to feel pain to drink so much water. So with this law of diminishing returns, we know that actually it's the first bites that are really what gives you the most pleasure, and so you are not you don't really have to take a lot to get a lot of satisfaction. Try to reduce the amount the of those items you still cannot do without, but that you feel are not very good for your health. And if you really feel that these food are too addictive, that maybe I think of alcohol, that one glass leads to another, and yet to another, then this is where you have to also maybe be more strict, and then you know, okay, this kind of food or alcohol is too addictive. My body is not able to resist, and therefore maybe it's even better not to have any of it at all. But like my let's say love for chocolate, I was able to turn it into something much more reasonable by turning to darker chocolates, because they contain less sugar and more bitterness, and it's easier to get this chocolate satisfaction after just a little bit of chocolate. So this reminds me that there's also a lot of food pairings that examples in this book by T. Parker. First it was written in Chinese and then translated into English, and in June it will even come out in Korean. It has been translated in Korean. If you have, I know we have some Korean friends. So starting June, you will be able to purchase it in the Korean language. This shows that tea pairing is something very popular now, even in Korea and in the English world. Let me make some more tea. So recently I've been drinking tea with almost all my lunches and dinners, and it's quite fun to look for good associations, good pairings between tea and food. It gives you a way to explore your teas, to drink your teas with trying to match food, looking for the best combinations, how flavors mingle together. That's where you realize that certain teas are really too light to go well with any food, that you have to brew them a bit stronger, and there are some teas that are really much more suitable. I'm thinking of pu going very well with a lot of seafood and with cheese, and maybe even with some fermented bean curds. But on the other hand, roasted oolongs, they can go very well with more meaty dishes. Today I had the concubine oolong from Sinju 2021 go well with bolognese sauce and pasta. That was a nice combination. So, and by drinking tea during the meal, we are applying this principle of avoiding a food or a beverage that is harmful, that is that has a lot of calories, because since tea is unsweetened, has 0 calories, while we are drinking tea, we are not drinking alcohol, we're not drinking soda or fruit juice, and this lowers our calorie intake. And so sometimes it's also even like investing. Sometimes it does not really matter in what you are invested. When markets go up, many this we say all the boats rise, but sometimes there are there is one asset class that you should avoid. In the past 2 years, these were government bonds. Their value went down a lot. So if you were invested in broad indexes for the stock market or gold or Bitcoin, you were doing fine. But if you were invested in government bonds, then this was not good. So the trick is to really avoid the one thing that is bad for you. And so what you drink, what you eat, does not have to be especially superfoods or super healthy, but you are doing already a lot of good for your body by not eating or not drinking those food or beverages that are harmful to you. So this is also another way of looking at it, and taking a more peaceful, relaxed approach to it. We are not necessarily going for the ultimate, the very best. Anyway, in the end, we all have to say goodbye, but simply avoiding the worst food is already a good method for avoiding a stress on our system, that is our health, that leads us that could lead us to an illness. Also, by drinking it in a relaxed manner, tea, we are also favoring a relaxed mind, and we know mind and body go hand in hand. So if your mind feels well, this will also help your body, and vice versa. If you are in good health, this will also make your mind feel more pleasant. Yeah. So this is the holistic approach, which is something as a French coming to Taiwan I had to learn and adapt. But I think it makes a lot of sense, and I see really a lot of benefits from drinking tea that really are helping us in our quest for a healthy life. It makes also eating simpler foods more interesting. We don't always have time to cook, but cooking is also cooking at home is one of the keys of healthy lifestyle, because you are much more in control of what goes into your food than if you are eating out, or if you are eating things that are delivered by Food Panda or Uber Eats, or if you are eating frozen food. So preparing your food, we don't always have time to make a very refined lunch or dinner. It can be very easy, but tea can add spice, so to say, to your lunch experience, and it brings more joy. And the whole idea is to go away from this concept of the Western medicine, where they say, oh, the food you have to eat to be healthy are very boring. You have to eat soup. The doctor would say, oh, it's also a list of many things you are not allowed to eat. In our holistic approach, there is nothing that is completely off the table. Everything is welcome, but it has to be if it's not so good for you, it better be in very small portions, and trying to avoid really the worst food, thanks to tea. Some of the worst are beverages, sweetened beverages, and learning about the natural taste of food thanks to the experience of tea, the experience of high quality tea that teaches you what is natural, what is unadulterated, no added sugar, no added flavors. We don't want those because they might hide things that are not so good for your health. So the tea experience lets us identify these wrong flavors and say no, or this raises our bar of quality. Or there are maybe some foods that you won't tolerate anymore because you can taste that they just smell or taste funny. They are not so good enough for you anymore, and also, or even better, that you feel after eating them that your body does not react in a nice way, that you feel maybe stomach pain, or you don't feel relaxed from eating this food. So with this experience, you know better by paying attention to yourself what are the foods that are good for you long term, and you try to eat those more than those that do harm. So I think tea has really helped a lot to raise awareness about quality, about what are natural flavors, paying attention to details. Of course, we don't want to overdo it. We don't want to add any little pain in each little finger to raise the alarm and run to the doctor and say, oh, I'm starting to feel bad, and oh, I need a cure. We have to take a step back, be very relaxed about this, observe. Sometimes rest is all you need, and maybe many ailments can go away by themselves. And yeah, but still pay attention to your well-being, and be very critical and responsible of what you are eating, and maybe good tea can teach you more about good food quality. It might cost a bit more than soda or coffee or sweetened juices, but it's an investment. It's like the Chinese paying for the doctor when they're in good health, and I think it's better to work towards living without too many illnesses than to just curing illnesses. It's of course more difficult in a sense because there are a lot of relationships between the food you eat and all the different organs you have, The body is a very complex system. It's very difficult for doctors to understand it. That's why Western medicine has gone the path of breaking it down. There are doctors for every body part almost, and they are going to the molecule level. They are trying to find molecules that do this or that do that, molecules that are different depending on your DNA. So really going more and more in detail. Of course, it's a good approach to cure a lot of diseases, but still best is not to have these problems in the first place. And by looking at the body as a whole, and yeah, I think that tea can be helpful. So I will continue these classes and giving you more examples of tea pairings. I've posted, I think, this last month a couple of pictures about it. So today I also posted one in this for this video of one meal ahead with chickpeas, zucchini, and bell pepper with a bit of sesame paste, all stir-fried in olive oil. Very yummy, delicious, and also, I believe, very healthy. And with it, I think I had roasted oolong, maybe even roasted tiaguanine. You can play with those that you are getting from my selection. I think they are all doing a good job because they have this long aftertaste that I've talked in the previous class about. And so they are able to be a good match with the flavors in your meal. With this, I thank you very much for your attention. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked this kind of class, and I'll see you next week for another tea class, this time about Lu and tea preparation.